Shevat, Chodesh Tov. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh. And before we start, we're going to dedicate the class to the health, the refuah, to the immediate recovery of Chaya Batsenta. Should have an immediate recovery and a refuah shlema, along with anybody else who needs a speedy and complete recovery for their health, their body, their mind, their soul. Am Israel and the entire world should have refuah. So, we're in the month of Shevat, a very, very special month. I know every month I say it's a special month, but Shevat is specifically a special month. Yesterday we celebrated Rosh Chodesh, and as we do every month, a class to point something out of the potential of the month itself so I can apply throughout the month. I don't know specifically anyone locally here, but Baruch Hashem, I get many feedback from people who are watching the videos that they are really applying what we're learning. I mean, if you come here and you don't really apply it, then you're missing the point of the class. Even though I like seeing you, and the point is to take something out of the class and to apply it. And if I don't, then kind of a waste of chas v'shalom. I don't want to say it's a waste of your time, but you want to take something and to know how to apply it, because our growth cannot be done overnight. It has to be spread on 50 years. And every time, if I do one step, then that's how I'm able to gain a very good and solid growth spiritually. So specifically in the month we spoke about it many times. We have 12 months. They correspond to the 12 tribes. They more correspond because to Hashem's way of revealing Himself, because we mentioned specifically, we learned that last week. We learn here Zohar every day in the evening if you want to join us. The Zohar class is both for women and men at 6 p.m. And last week we learned that where is the concept of the 12 tribes coming from, and many other places that we see 12, like now we see 12 months, is because Hashem has many different names. The most common name of Hashem, and not necessarily the most common, but the one who's really, that we relate to as Hashem's name, is Yud Kei Vav Kei, which really, this is one of the most dominating names of Hashem, because the reason why Hashem has a name is for us to relate with. Hashem Himself doesn't need a name, and even us as human beings, we don't need a name. The reason why I need a name is for you to call me. I don't need a name for myself. Specifically, we know that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, when He wanted to create the world and to manifest His godly revelation into the world, it had to be done through tools, through vessels. The teachings of Kabbalah explains that Hashem, we call Him the infinite light, not because He's a light bulb, rather because He enlights. And the first revelation of this infinite light, in a way that it's contracted, in a way that any type of a creation can actually benefit from that, then the first time that we know of it is in the world that is called the world of Atzilut. And before that, above the world of Atzilut, then the godly revelation is defined as Or Ein Sof, as the infinite light. And again, not light, because when a lot of people, they understand when you say light, or that Hashem is a Or Ein Sof, they picture a light bulb or a flashlight. The light in Hebrew is Or, and when we're talking about Hashem as Or Ein Sof, because He's shining. This is called He'ara. He's enlightening whatever He's shining on, like a projector. It's projecting something. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is projecting His wisdom, His love, His midot. So the first time that the Or Ein Sof was contracted in some type of a way was in the world of Atzilut, and it had to be dressed into kelim, into vessels. These are the 10 sfirot. And each sfira has a different character trait. We know one of them is chesed, is kindness, one of them is severity, judgment, rachamim, mercy, tiferet. So each kli, each sfira, we call it kelim. Each sfira has a name, and the name is the names of Hashem. So the name Elokim refers to the sphere of Gvura, because it's that's the name that the Kli got. The Kli is the vessel. The name El is Chesed, and then the name Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, and the name Shin Dalet Yud. There's many different names to Hashem. So the name is just the name of the actual vessel, but the character trait is what we refer to as Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, and so forth. The name of the vessel, the name of Hashem, is what's called Chitzoniyut HaKli, the outside of the vessel, and Yud Kei Vav Kei is Pnimiyut HaKli, is the He'ara, is the light that gets dressed into the vessel. If you learn Kabbalah and Chassidut, then there's a common term, Orot Bekelim, lights that are dressed into vessels. The light that gets dressed into the vessel, that's Yud Kei Vav Kei. And Yud Kei Vav Kei, we don't pronounce the name, but there are 12 ways to switch the letters around. This is called the Tzerufei Otiyot. And each tzeruf has a different meaning. And we know that each month has a certain tzeruf of Shem Havaya. So where do we get the 12 months and the 12 tribes and the structure of 12? Specifically because Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, has 12 tzerufim, 12 combinations. If you remember, I asked last week, remember the ones who attend the Zohar class, I asked a tricky question and I said, how many hours do we have in a day? And of course everybody answered 24. And I said, that's the wrong answer. We only have 12 hours in the day. We have 12 hours in the day and we have 12 hours at night. But the day is separated to two. When Hashem created the world, He created light and darkness. And then He says, I'm going to call the light day, and to the darkness I'll call night. And then He concludes and says, Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Boker, Yom Echad. So I have a Erev and I have a Boker. And that together will form a day. But specifically during the day, there's only 12 hours. And during the night, there's 12 hours. During the day, the energy that comes down into the world comes from the word, from the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. And every hour of the day, from the 12, is a different tziruf, a different combination of the letters. At night, the energy that comes into the world comes from the word, from the name of Hashem, Adonai, Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, and that also has 12 combinations throughout the night. Together they form 24 hours a day. So every month also has a certain combination of the letters of Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's where we come up with the structure of 12 months. If you remember, in the beginning of the week, the class that we had about the weekly parasha, we talked about specifically the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. That's the mitzvah we learn in this parasha, that we have to sanctify the month. And I explained that all the calendars, not the Jewish calendars, they go by cycle of the sun, and the Jewish calendar is the only calendar that goes by the cycle of the moon. So, because there's 12 and the sun, but the months are lunar, and we go by the hitchadshut of the moon. That's how we get to the 12 months. I added that every 3 years we add a 13th month, so to say, because if our months are shorter, where it's only 29 and a half days, and what's going to happen if we don't add that leap year, then at some point Pesach is going to be in the winter, and we can't have that. So every 3 years we add Adar Sheni, a 13th month, to catch up from the moon cycle to the sun cycle. So that's how we get to the 12 months, and every month has a different energy, a different combination of the name of Hashem, of the letters. Therefore, it brings a whole different energy into the world. And if I know how to tap into that energy, then I can benefit what the energy is allowing me to enjoy. Specifically in the month of Shevat is the energy of development and growth. But I need to know how to tap into the energy. More than that, of course, the anything in the Torah is so dynamic, and there's so many different ways of looking at it. So every year we can learn something new. But what we want to focus on is something that I can derive from the energy of the month and to apply it to my life. So first, just that we go through a few of the details that we know. The sign of the month is Gli. In English it's called Aquarius, which I mentioned last year. I don't want to repeat anything that I say in previous classes. If you want, the last year class is online. Look at it, it's just as good, where I explain that the nature of the dli, of a bucket, which the Aquarius is a bucket, is constantly the bucket wants to be full and has the potential of being completely full. If I have now a bucket and it's not full, then I'm not using it for its potential. You can learn a lot from kids. I always look at my kids and I learn a lot from them. My son, when he pours juice into the cup, it's exactly the level of the top. He's not missing 1 millimeter here. I look at it, I'm like, I don't even know how you're going to move the cup. I always leave like a centimeter so I can move the cup and it's not going to spill. He makes sure it's leveled with the top to make sure he gets the maximum out of his cup. I tell him sometimes, don't you think it's easier to just take 2 cups and each time fill them 3/4? That way you don't spill over the floor, you don't spill over yourself, and you still get the same amount. So the character of the dli, of the Aquarius, is the desire to be full. And when I'm not full, the negative side of it is that I feel empty. So specifically in this month has the character of the desire to reach to the fullest. And this is one of the problems why people fall into sadness and depression and different moods, is because their spiritual vessel is not full. So they feel a lack. They feel that they're missing something. So it brings them down to a level of sadness or depression. So specifically, the idea behind the Aquarius, the bucket, is the ability to constantly draw more. In the olden days when they used to go to a well, how would they take the water out? With a bucket. They would throw the bucket in the well and pull it up. Whether they pull it up with a rope or whatever it is, but the bucket has the ability to go very deep and to draw water, to pump. So this is a month that I have an ability to, I already went low, because in the month of Tevet, that's when I went already low. If I know how to aim the right way, in the month of Shevat, I can pick it up. And I already threw the bucket into the well. Now just pull it up. So specifically in this month, is the month of that I can draw from below. כן. נכון. Now we're very lucky that in this month we have a holiday, the holiday of Tu B'Shvat. A very nice and subtle holiday. You don't have to make much of a meal. Just buy some raisins and you're good to go. But we do have a nice holiday, and any month that has a holiday, that's already good news. Now we spoke about it a couple times, that every month has a certain planet that controls it. Most of the months are sharing a planet. It's only Tammuz and Av that they don't share a planet. And Tammuz is ruled by the sun, and the Tammuz by the moon, and Av by the sun. But all the rest of the months are controlled by a planet. The planet that controls the month of Shevat is Shabbatai, which in English it's Saturn. And Shabbatai, if you change a little bit how you read it, all you need to do is change separate the last letters, is Shabbat. Which Shabbat is already hinting of the concept of resting and menucha. Now, what does that mean, resting? Not for me to sit in bed till 11 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. Rather, Shabbat has the ability of observing. When I observe something, I have to be sitting very still and just to wait there and look. And this is the hint how every now and then I have to stop and make an analogy of my life to see where I'm holding, to see if what I'm doing is right, if I'm in the right crowd, if I'm in the right space, if I'm growing, if I'm staying in the same spot. Same way that if you have a business, once a year, exactly around the period now of December and January, when you have to pay your taxes, that's when you really check out your business. You file your reports, you sit with the accountant, and he tells you how business is doing. Maybe I should invest more money in marketing. Maybe I should invest more money in development. Maybe not. Maybe I'm doing very well. Maybe I'm not doing so good. I have to sit with my accountant and see what's going on. So I have to constantly find the time, once a week, once a day, once a month, doesn't matter, that I stop my life to make an evaluation. Am I doing good? And am I growing? And am I going up? Am I going down? Specifically in the month of Shevat, it's a time that has the ability to really stop, focus, meditate on where I'm holding in order to do a tikkun. It's not here for me to be hard on myself. It's not a tochecha. I'm not here to talking about that you have to sit and start saying to yourself how bad you are. Rather than when you observe something, is able to figure out what needs to be corrected, what needs to be rectified. It's good to do it bichlal. I told you every couple of weeks we have in our home, we have a family meeting. The family gets together and everybody says their complaints, even my 2-year-old, and everybody has something to say. And everybody comes with an open mind and we have a discussion. And one kid will say to the other kid, I don't like that you walk into my room and touch my toys. The other kid will tell a different kid, you bother me when my friends come over. We tell them what we don't like. We have a open discussion, and you know what? It works well because everybody says in an open heart what bothers them, and the rest are there to not to get upset or to judge, rather to say, oh, okay, and let me make a change. So the potential in this month is meant to look at everything that you do and to make a change. Now, we mentioned that there's also every month a tribe that corresponds to the month. Specifically, the tribe of the month of Shevat is the tribe of Asher. That when Yaakov Avinu was giving the brachot, and he was also dividing the land to each tribe, Asher got a piece of the land that it says, Me'asher shamna lachmo. That he got a piece of land here in the north where it's blessed with a lot of olive trees. That's the piece of Asher. And the olive trees, they signify wealth and osher. Many people have the custom, or I don't know how to call it because it's not a rule, it's not a law, but people have the custom to plant an olive tree in their backyard. It's good luck, some people say, and you see, we also have an olive tree. There is something in the olive tree, besides that it's one of the fruit of the 7 species, but specifically olives, they signify wealth. You take from the olive, you make oil from them, pure olive oil that was used for the menorah. So this is also a month that can bring and has the potential for a lot of wealth. And the wealth is not necessarily with your bank account. Your wealth can be with your knowledge and your achievements and many more other things. Now we mentioned about the combination of the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Specifically in the month of Shevat, the combination. Last month I showed you, if you want I'll show you, I have the sheet again. I have this friend who, Mamasha Mekubal, and he knows how to do all the calculations with the Sfirot. And I have every day, last month I showed it to you, I have one if you want to look at it. The combination, the tziruf otiyot of Yud Kei Vav Kei is Hey, then Yud, then Vav, then a Hey. Usually the Yud Kei Vav Kei will be Yud and then a letter Hey, and then a Vav and then another letter Hey. This month it's Hey, then a Yud, then a Vav, and then a Hey. Now we know that the letters Yud and Vav, they signify Shefa, an abundance. And even if you look at their shape, up and down, from up to down, and the letters Hey, they represent receiving. That's why Hey is corresponding to the sphere of Malchut. If you read Patach Eliyahu, he says there in the Tikkunei Zohar, Shemalchut Peh, Torah shebe'al Peh. The Malchut is coming from the level of Peh, and we know the Peh, the mouth, has 5 articulations. Chamesh Motzaot HaPeh, corresponding to the 5 dinim that are dwelling in the level of Malchut. So we know the Heys of Hashem are the receiver, the Mekabel. Now, we know that when the Mashpia is before the Mekabel, meaning the Yud or the Vav are before the Hey, then there's a lot of, the shine is coming specifically from the attribute of mercy. from Tiferet, Rachamim. But when it's the other way around, when the Mekabel, the receiver, is before the Mashpia, the He'ara specifically is coming from Dinim, from Gvura. So, and we see it, how it is in different months. In the month of Shevat, then we see that the combination is Hey, and then a Yud, and then a Vav, and then a Hey, the other way around. Meaning that first it comes the Mekabel, and then the Mashpia. So, I want to kind of go to our topic. I'm just giving some laid out information. Now, if you remember all the classes that we have, I always talk about a certain sense. There are 12 senses in our existence, and every month has a certain sense. The sense of the month of Shvat is the sense of eating. If you remember, the sense of Tevet was sleeping, and Shvat is specifically eating. Now, eating is one of the biggest ways to reach a tikkun in this world. That's why there's such a te'ava, such a desire in eating. I mean, eating, mamash eating. And we see the first sin was in eating. And that's why a big part of our tikkun, the rectification of the world, is through eating, through achilah. The Arizal explains that the Klippa has the most control on food. That's why specifically we have a lot of te'avot, a lot of the desires with food. And food is permitted, so I don't see anything wrong with that. But when I all day long, my mouth is chewing, and that's coming from not a healthy place. Especially when my te'ava is for another cookie, and another ice cream, and another rogalach, and whatever it is. But when it comes to food, when it comes to business, food is the best business out there. You almost can't go wrong. So I remember when we came a couple of years ago to, so to say, scout Israel before we made Aliyah, and I had my observation. I said the three things in Israel that are the money makers are construction, kids' activity, and food. So if you want to make money in Israel, you have to go into construction or to do anything that is kids' activities, or open a restaurant. So I know not all restaurants are successful. I have a very good friend who's a chef, and my grandfather was also a chef and had a restaurant. And one time I told my friend who wanted to be, he wanted to open a restaurant. I told him, my grandfather is a chef, he had a restaurant. So finally one day when they met, my friend told him, I heard you are a chef and you have a restaurant, that you had a restaurant. It's my dream, and I also want to open a restaurant. So he told him in Hebrew, it was funny in Hebrew, he told him in Hebrew, Magia lecha. You deserve it. You think it's so much fun to have a restaurant, it's the biggest headache you can imagine. But nevertheless, when you go to the malls, the court, the area of the food is the one that is full. You go to amusement parks, it's where the food, that's where everybody hangs out. So we have something with food, obviously. So the chush, the sense of achilah, is one of the biggest ways to do a rectification in this world. And that I definitely don't want to get into it right now, and there's no time to talk about it. Maybe we'll do it in a different class or next year. But specifically, most of the tikkun that we need to do in this world is through eating. And we know in general that 288 sparks fell down from the concept that is called Shvirat HaKelim. Now when we're learning Parashat Bo, then we know that 288 sparks fell into Mitzrayim, what's called Rapach Nitzotzim, but when they went out of Mitzrayim, they were only able to take 202 sparks. And we know that because when they went out of Mitzrayim, it says, Ve'erev Rav alai mahem. Erev Rav is the mob that came out with them, alai mahem, went out with them. But the word Rav is a lot, but the Gematria of Rav is 202, Reish and Bet. So we know that they only were able to take out from Mitzrayim 202 sparks. Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to elevate the other 86. That's where after that had to be a correction for that. But in our life, in my personal life, I also have to elevate 288 sparks, that the majority of them are done with food. So the the actual sense is also very connected to the month. We'll talk about it in a second. But I also always mention, based on the book of information, Sefer Yetzirah, every month has a certain letter. And the letter of the month of Shevat is the letter Tzadik, which is a very, very unique letter. First of all, that's kind of what I want to concentrate the most today. But before we leave to the letter, the idea with eating, that eating is a sifting, is a birur. That's why some of the food are kosher, some of the food are not kosher. Here I'm allowed to eat this like this, it is like that. We just went through that now, last class. When I'm allowed to warm the food, when I'm not allowed to warm the food, it's cooked, it's not cooked. A very major tikkun is done through food, and that's why a lot of the sifting is in the food. What is permitted for me to eat, what is not permitted for me to eat. We're now learning all the laws of Shemitah and Maaser and Truma. It's the same apple. How come I can eat this apple and this apple I can't eat? Because this apple came from that tree, this apple came from this tree, this apple is in the first 3 years, this apple is from a year of Shemitah. So obviously there's something very, very deep in the food that we see that the majority of our day is around food. You go on a vacation, when are we eating? Where are we eating? What are we eating? Who is eating? When are we eating? What did we eat? And but most people, they go on vacation, they send you pictures. Here we had a beautiful dinner. And here we had a best steakhouse. So the vacations are around the food. We go out on a vacation, it's 2 days just to prepare the food. Because where are we going to eat? So loading the car is just the food. Don't touch the food, and this food has to be here, and this food has to be that. And we have snacks to the road, snacks to the this. And so we're creatures that all the time eat. If there was such a thing as an alien looking from above, what's going on with these people? All day long, they just eat. So there is a very big tikkun specifically with eating. And like I said, the Arizal explains that the klipa has the most achiza, the most grabs on food. And it can manipulate through the food. Besides the fact that we eat the food, we digest it, becomes part of my body. And it just starts spreading around the energy into my organs. So it really, the type of the rectification here, the birur, is so fine that is a very big thing. Now, before we going into the letter, there's also always a body part that is corresponding to the month too. The body part that is corresponding to the month of Shevat is what's called Kurkevan. And you're going to have to forgive me because I don't know how to pronounce it well in English. Doniden? Dendonians? Duodendum. Duodendum. Duodenum. See, I told you have to excuse me. You don't know what it means? Kurkevan. It's before the intestines. Duodenum. That's all there's depending on the stomach. Bekitzu. In Hebrew it's called Kurkevan. So, Kurkevan. Some people translate Kurkevan as the navel, the pupik, but that's not the Kurkevan. But nevertheless, I told you initially, Kurkevan. זה חלק לפני התחול. זה חלק מהמערכת עיכול. So that's why I told you you're going to have to excuse me because I don't know how to pronounce it. But this is the organ that is connected to this month. One day maybe we'll have a course about how the organs in our body, how they're connected to the mitzvot and how they're connected to many different things. Everything has a connection. We're learning now, if you want to join us on Shabbat, we started learning it. We're learning it on Shabbat in the morning. We're going to have to somehow find the time to start teaching it during the week. There's an unbelievable book written by Rabbi Chaim Vital, the student of the Arizal, and it's pure teachings of the Ari, but brought down in a very simple way. The book is called Sharei Kedusha. It's not a big book. It's not a difficult book, but it's. Excuse me. Not a difficult. I mean, if you look at some of the Kabbalah books, you don't understand nothing. Here you can actually understand. Not only that, it's really practical and very, very interesting. And we started learning how every mitzvah corresponds to every organ and how you can affect the organ by certain mitzvot that you do. It's unbelievable. Very, very interesting book. So we're learning it on Shabbat before we pray. Fortunately, we can't record it, so now everybody's asking, so maybe we'll do a class on it during the week. But nevertheless, let's go to the more the core of the topic, what I wanted to speak about, and that's specifically the letter of the month. And the letter of the month is called Tzadik, and it resembles another word in our vocabulary, Tzadik, a righteous person, a pious person. Now, when you say the word Tzadik, then you imagine right away the Baba Sali, Rabbi Nachman from Breslev, I don't know, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Yeah, this is what the Tzadik. But we also know, our sages say, Ve'amech kulam tzadikim. We're all tzadikim. We learn every day here in the Noam Elimelech after our prayer. A lot of the classes now are going, I know on a daily basis, they're going up on the website, the YouTube, specifically of the Noam Elimelech. Very interesting and very deep teaching. And he constantly refers to us as tzaddikim. If you read from the Noam Elimelech, he doesn't call us humans or the nation of Israel. He definitely doesn't use the word Jew, but he calls us tzaddikim. Because we all have a tzaddik in us. And when it refers to Ve'amech kulam tzaddikim, this is our Mishnah, then some interpretation says this is not right now, la'atid lavo, in the future, when Mashiach is going to come, we're all going to be elevated to levels of tzaddikim. But nevertheless, each and every one of us has a tzaddik inside, the potential to be a tzaddik. And there is a great connection between the concept of eating and the specific idea of a tzaddik. And that's why you see that the letter, everything is connected to each other. And I said that the chush, the sense, is eating, and the letter is tzaddik. Comes once a question. I mean, we don't have the zchut to live next to a tzaddik, but somebody once asked me, does a tzaddik eat? I mean, he's a tzaddik. I mean, we know that most of them don't even sleep. But do they eat? Because it's a beyond this world individual. Did Moshe Rabbeinu eat? Did Moshe Rabbeinu says, excuse me, I have to have breakfast? So, which is a very interesting question. We do have and had tzaddikim that we can see with our eyes. Did you ever see a tzaddik eat? I don't know. I don't think there's a video of the Baba Sali eating. I never saw the Lubavitcher Rebbe snacking on a cracker. So somebody once asked me, do they eat? Does the tzaddik eat? So I said, not only that the tzaddik eats, he eats the right way. He knows how to elevate the food to the source. We eat because we're hungry. We eat because it's social, and we eat because we like the taste. And half of the food that we eat, we don't really need it. It's just for our taste buds. It's just for my own pleasure. I'm being nice when I'm saying half. It's 95% of what we eat we don't need. Because 95% of what goes into our mouth is not healthy. There's no nutrition whatsoever. And I really don't need it. That's when I became observant. The first thing that I started doing is as I changed my diet. I started putting tefillin and my diet. And for 2 years, a lot of the emphasis went on the diet, on the food. And specifically, I started by removing the things that I don't really need. And something will come, and I would ask myself, do I really need this piece of chocolate right now? Is the chocolate going to give me energy? No. Is it? No. It's false. Sorry? Okay, I'm talking about the junk chocolate. The chocolate that is full of junk. I'm not talking about pure, real dark chocolate. But even the whatever it is, I say chocolate. Now I'll take something else, a lollipop, whatever it is, ice cream. It's going to give me, besides pleasure to my taste bud, it's going to give me anything? No. It's going to give me a headache, a stomach ache, a toothache, cavities. It's not going to give me anything. So the way I would, so to say, get rid of these habits is by thinking, what is this food going to give me right now? You have a cup of coffee right now. Okay, so once in the morning, once a day, you want to have coffee. I used to drink like 17 cups of coffee every day. What would the coffee do to me right now? It doesn't give me energy. It definitely doesn't give me to be in a good mood. Well, what? It's some type of a habit. Excuse me for the noises, but it's some habit to put something in my mouth. So there's a type of an addiction. There's nothing nutrition. It's not that I'm drinking now a freshly squeezed carrot juice. So nevertheless, tzaddikim, they do eat. They don't eat much. They just eat enough to elevate the spark in it. And they know how to do it the right way, that there's no waste in it. Now we see that many of our mitzvot are around food. Every holiday, it's around the food. Birkat Hamazon, the only blessing from the Torah is about food. And the korbanot, the sacrifices, is food. We have so many mitzvot that is around food. You know that right now, from the 613 mitzvot that we have, maybe we're doing 20% of them. Maybe if you can squeeze 25% that we can do from the 613. Half of them we can't do. We need a Bet HaMikdash, we need a Kohanim, we need a king, we need the land of Israel. Everything that we do now in regards to Masrot and Trumot and Shemitah, it's all the Rabbanan. We actually need the land of Israel. And look how many mitzvot is around food when we do have the land of Israel. So we can, just a quick observation, look how much mitzvot is around food. Now, many religions, for them to be holy, it means to segregate themselves from the world. So you see in some religions, the monks, they don't marry, they don't have intercourse, they don't eat, they don't drink wine, or whatever it is. For them to be separate from the reality, that's how to be holy. Specifically in Judaism, is the complete opposite, is to take the world and make the world holy, is to take something physical and to penetrate kedusha, holiness, into the world. So we take all the physical thing, all our mitzvot are physical. We have a few of them that are not physical, to love Hashem, to fear Hashem, but most of our mitzvot are physical mitzvot, because I have to take something physical, penetrate into it kedusha, holiness, by mixing it in a mitzvah, and then I elevate the world. I mekadesh. To make something holy is not that the thing is hovering over the ground. Holy in Hebrew is kadosh, and kadosh in Hebrew means to be separated, muvdal. That I'm not like everything else. And I have the ability, and this is exactly what Judaism is teaching, is that I have to not segregate from myself from the world, rather include the world, penetrate the kedusha in it, and then elevate it to holiness. Now, we know that unfortunately, anything that has a lot of kedusha in it, a lot of holiness, has also the exact same power in the tuma, in the other side. Since in food there's a lot of holy sparks that needs to be elevated, and there's a lot of mitzvot around food, then there's also the danger, so to say, to fall from that level in food. I need to know the difference. Some people, the food controls them, and some people, they control the food. Now, in the chain, I'm, so to say, in the highest. And all the rest of the types of the levels, which are food, are underneath me. So I have to consume an animal, which is the next level, that consumes vegetation, and which the vegetation consumes inanimates. I'm not allowed to eat an animal that eats an animal. That makes the animal a predator, and it's not kosher. All the kosher animals, they only eat vegetation. I can't eat any animal that will eat another animal. I'm not allowed to eat it. So in the chain, the lowest is the inanimates, then comes vegetation, then an animal, then a human being. So in the eating chain, it doesn't mean that I'm higher, by the way. Based on the teachings of Kabbalah, it's actually the inanimates that are coming from a much higher place than us. But I have to elevate it. So when I eat an animal that ate the grass, who got grown by water, by inanimate, or the soil, then I'm elevating all four levels into their source. But that's when I control the food. When the food controls me, then there's a problem. Then I don't elevate the food. And I have to elevate the godly sparks that are in the food. Just have to be very careful that I'm not controlled by the food. That's again, going back to the same example I said when I became observant, my goal in the beginning was not to look like this. I didn't do much mitzvot when I became observant. Just to put tefillin on, used to do kiddush on Shabbat, very little things. I didn't even wear tzitzit, I didn't wear a yarmulke. First of all, I knew it will take me time to start slowly climbing. But I knew that if I want to do the real tshuva, then the foundation has to be strong. And the inside has to be real. When I went to many different yeshivas, specifically 4, not many, but it's many for some. Usually somebody goes to one yeshiva and he stays there. And the last yeshiva that I went to, they right away told me, okay, everybody wears here suits. And I said, I'm not wearing a suit. So they said, but that's everybody wears here a suit. And I said, no, I'm not wearing a suit. And if that's going to be considered breaking your rules, then I'm going to go somewhere else. Because my tshuva is not based on a suit. And I'm not going to be fake with myself and put a black suit on to think that I'm now observant. I'm not. I have a long way to go. And I'm going to wear my denim pants and my blue shirt and whatever it is, my sneakers. I'm not going to wear the suit. It's going to be lying to myself. And the head of the yeshiva, he appreciated my approach, and I told him my tshuva is not a suit. And maybe I'll never wear a suit. Maybe for me to be observant is to be observant, to do real. The suit is an external thing. There is a reason for that. It's not for nothing that we wear black suits. There's a reason for that. Everything that we do has a reason. It's not that somebody just decided to make money and sell us black suits. So there's a deep meaning for that. But I was not in that level, and I said my tshuva is not based on a jacket. Let me first do tshuva. When I feel that I'm in the level of wearing a suit, I'll put a suit on. When I really know what it means. So for 2 years, I didn't wear the costume, so to say, because I was like, no, my tshuva has to become from within. It has to be real. So I knew also, so in order for my tshuva to be real, it cannot be based on fakeness or anything that is external. What's the point of doing the mitzvot if I don't even know what it means? Or if I don't even like it? Or if I don't want to do it? Let me work on the inside, that the inside is pure, clean, honest, courteous, and not all this junk around. And I knew that one of the first things I need to do is to get rid of a habit that is called an addiction. And we're all addicted to something. And we don't even notice how much we're addicted to things. You can be addicted to your cup of coffee every morning. And if you don't have your cup of coffee, then you start, shaking. Not talking right now heavy addictions of drugs and alcohol and gambling. And everybody has some type of an addiction, but we have a lot of small addictions. If you don't have your phone within 3 feet from you, you also start shaking a little bit. So we're addicted to many things. And I was addicted to everything. I used to drink, I'm not exaggerating, maybe 15 cups of coffee every day. I was constantly with coffee. I was a smoker. I used to smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Cigarettes. Everything was too much. Was like depending on something. And if I don't have a box of cigarettes, some people, they're so addicted they'll start smoking the cigarette butts in the ashtray. Okay, relax. So for 2 hours you don't have a cigarette. And I couldn't bear the fact that something in the world will control me. And it took a year, 2, 3 years to break this habit that something controls me. If I need to go now 3 weeks without coffee, so I'll survive without coffee. Big deal. So of course I got rid of all the big things. But the point is the same with food. And since we're concentrating on food, then I have to understand that I have to control the food. If the food controls me, I'm not elevating nothing here. I'm le'efich. It's just pulling it down. And if I eat the food out of lust, or not lust, how do you say for food? Gluttony, gluttonous, or how would you say it? Gluttonous? Gluttony? If I'm eating the food because it's just delicious, and there's no, intention here to elevate the food, to nourish my body, I'm not elevating nothing here. Le'efich. I'm pulling myself down and the nitzots, the spark in the food down. When I control the food, that's when I'm able to elevate it. Now, we mentioned that the letter is Tzadik, and Tzadik is a very unique letter, and there are a few ways of writing Tzadik. Now, when we write Tzadik, when we write any letter, we have to look at the biblical way to write the letters, not how you write it the modern way. The way to know how you write the letters is you look at the Sefer Torah. That's what I'm talking about. How you write it on a piece of paper that's not the original. if you're looking at a Sefer Torah, there are two ways to writing the Tzadik. One way, first of all, the Tzadik is built from two letters. One of them is a Nun, and one of them is a Yud. Just that the Nun is bent over. It's called Nun Kfufa. That the Nun is bent in, and then on top of it comes the Yud. One way of writing it is that the Yud is facing into the letter, and one way of writing it is that the Yud is facing out of the letter. One is Sephardi, one is Ashkenaz. I made here an example. You can pass it on in a second. But you can see the right one is when the Yud is bending into the letter, and the other one is when the Yud is bending out of the letter. Okay, so now you can pass it around. You'll see what I mean. Just know that, just mention, look, that the Asfaradi is the Yud achutza. Ashkenazi, the Ashkenaz is the Yud is inside, and the Sephardi writing, the Yud is outside. But look through it, just that you see what I mean, that one Yud is pointing in and one Yud is pointing out. Now, again, the Nun is called Nun Kfufa. If you look at the Nun, it looks like it was bent down. Kfufa means to bend down, and then the Yud gets dressed on it. Now, these two letters, they represent two things. The Yud represents the existence of the soul, and the Nun represents the existence of the body. Also, the Yud represents the holy name of Hashem, what's called the name Hashem HaMeforash, Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's the letter that the name starts with. And Nun, that's, like I said, it's like bending down. It's representing a body that doesn't have energy in it, doesn't have a real neshama in it. If I don't follow the Torah and the mitzvot, my body is empty. There's no kedusha there. There's no holiness. So the body only falls down, can't go up. A body that performs mitzvot, doesn't matter right now how many mitzvot, what type of mitzvot, a body that is involved with kedusha, the body is elevated. When the body has no kedusha, no mitzvot, then the body is nofel, the body falls down. This is the two differences. Now, my main avodah in this world is to bring the soul to control my body. Most of us, the body controls the soul. But I want to work on myself spiritually, that my soul is controlling the body 100%. This is a tzaddik, mamash a tzaddik. That's why we see that in the letter Tzadik, the Yud is riding on the Nun. The Nun is representing the body, and the Yud is representing the Neshama. So the Yud is riding on the Nun, meaning the Neshama has to control the body. Now, when a person is in control, fully control of his body, we call that person a melech, a king. Why a king? It's not that he's a king, rather melech is the acronym of moach, lev, kaved. Brain is the moach, lev is the heart, and kaved is the liver. One of the reasons why we are from all creatures standing up, because the moach, the intellect, the mochin has to be above the lev and above the kaved. It's going in order. That's why animals are bent down. They're all equal. Their heart, the liver, and the brain is the same level. So they don't talk, they don't have intelligence, even though some of the animals do have a little bit of intelligence. Notice that the animals that do have a little bit of intelligence, they know how to go on their 2 feet, or they know how to stand, so to say, straight. For example, look at dolphins. Not a lot of fish can stand straight. Dolphins are very, very intelligent. Dolphins, whales, they know how to, so to say, stand themselves up. Dogs, they have some type of intelligence. They know how to be on two legs. And, excuse me? Monkey, bears, yeah. But animals that don't have any quality of intelligence, they'll never be able to stand on their 2 legs. So, the reason why we call it a melech, because it's an acronym of moach, lev, kaved, brain, heart, liver. We as humans, we have to constantly align it that the mochin is always above. That's why when we go to sleep, then there's no revelation of the intellect, because the mochin now is leveled with the heart and the liver. So the gilui, the revelation of any type of intellect is gone. Once I get up again, couple seconds, up, the moch, the brain goes above the heart and the liver, and it goes above it, and is now starting to reveal a revelation of mochin, of intellect. Now, interestingly, the numerical value of the word melech is 90. Mem is 40, Lamed is 30, and Chaf is 20. And the numerical value of the word of the letter Tzadik is 92. Wow. Now, like I said, there are two types of Tzadiks. One Tzadik, the Yud goes out. One Tzadik, the Yud goes in. The Tzadik that the Yud goes out refers to the motion that we call Kol Ma'asecha Yu L'Shem Shamayim. All your actions have to be for the sake of Shamayim. I sleep to have energy to wake up in the morning and to serve God. I eat now in order for me to have energy and to serve God. And I learn because that's what Hashem wants me to do. And I go and work to make money so I can give charity, so I can pay for my boys' yeshiva's tuition, that I can buy kosher food. Everything that I do has to be for the sake of Shamayim. I'm not doing anything for my sake. This is a very, high level. That's what we're supposed to do. It says, Chol ma'asecha yu l'shem shamayim. All your actions have to be directed to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, we usually as human beings, we have a very bad habit that we nourish the body. And sometimes it goes out of control. Now, it's very good to exercise twice a week, 3 times a week. You want to do it every day, 10 minutes. Some people take it to a point that they do a workout 3 hours every day. That's already going out of proportions. And unfortunately, in the world of the Torah, they don't encourage exercise. It's very bad. You go now to yeshivas, they're all fat, they're all skinny, and then they want to take them to the army, like as if they can do something. When I was in the army, and they used to bring some of the observant guys, and this can be a soldier. He doesn't even know how to lift something up. They're all skinny and pale, and they never played ball. A soldier needs to be a strong guy. So, not that I'm chas v'shalom, I'm not making jokes of everybody, I'm just making an observation. But the fact is that you go now to yeshiva, they don't have any physical activities. Once a week they let them play with the ball. And they don't even know how to kick a ball. So it's very bad. You see in a lot of men, and also women, but especially men, in the religious world, they're overweight, and they go up the stairs. Not all, of course, not all of them. I'm saying a lot of them go now to Mea Sharim and start running after somebody. They can't run more than 100 meters. They right away go out of breath. So here in Tzfat, Baruch Hashem, we go to the mikveh of the Ari. My wife tells me, you don't work out. Yeah, every day, go up 400 stairs. We'll see who's working out and who's not working out. So living in Tzfat, you by default become in good shape. So just take a few bags of shopping from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. That's your workout. So we counted 400 steps from the mikveh of the Ari all the way up to the top of the hill. Do that every day. You'll do pretty good. So unfortunately, we have a bad habit as human beings that we like to too much spoil our body with good food and massages and whatever, pedicure, schmedicure, all these things. Which again, if it's within a normal amount, that's good. But when it becomes too much, then I'm pampering the body, I'm idolizing the body. And again, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with getting a massage to get some knots freed or whatever it is, or to work out for sure. So, but, it's here. No, all the recorders, I don't know. This happened like yesterday, that the phone rang and it stopped the recording, and when he pressed record again, it deleted. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do done, and then you'll name it later. It's called new recording, and then I'm going to do a new one. Because yesterday I noticed that exactly, I saw that he was. You know what you should do when you record the class? Put it on airplane mode, and then calls don't come in, or text messages, and then it doesn't cut the recording. Yeah, everything is going to be online anyways. But going back to what we're talking about, it's not good to spoil the body too much. But it is smart to nourish the body. You need to nurture the body, or what's the word to say, cultivate. I need to letapeach. I need to bring the body to נכון? Yeah, I have to. Because if I'm going to be overweight, chas v'shalom, or out of breath, and how can I serve Hashem? How can I serve Hashem if I'm like, because I can barely move? I need to be in good shape. So my mind, I'll have my mind so I can focus on my studies. I need to how am I going to serve Hashem if I'm sick? So of course I need to nourish my body with good nutrition, with good sleep, with not putting myself at risks of all sorts of sorts. So needless to say, I have to include the body and I have to elevate the body. This is the level that is called Shekol Ma'asecha Yilu L'Shem Shamayim, that all your acts will be for the sake of heavens, and this is corresponding to the Tzadik, that the Yud is going out, which is also a very high level. There's a higher level that when the Yud of the Tzadik turns in. Why? Because this is taking now the body and the soul and merging them and making a couple out of them. This is a much harder thing to do, is to be able to unify them. And that is called in the Hasidic term bitul ha'ani, bitul hayesh, and then completely nullifying my existence, my yesh, that me that I want right now that cup of coffee. I want now to sleep another 3 hours. I want now to have this beautiful chocolate pudding cake, and this is the me. Why are you having that? You're not having it for any good reason. It's just to satisfy your own needs. And when I know how to completely crush that, how to annul that, this is called bitul hayesh. That's when I'm bringing a merge, a unification between the body and the soul. That's a much higher level of serving Hashem. Now, that's when the Yud is going in. Now, we all have at some type of a level something that is called pitzul ishiyut. They call it in English schizophrenia. Why? Now, I'm not saying it in a derogatory way. I'm just saying we all suffer it from one way. Why? Because in the morning when I wake up, I'm like a Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You know how fast I go down to the mikveh? 4 o'clock in the morning. I run up the stairs. Before the day didn't even start, I already learned 3 hours Torah. I prayed shacharit, wash for bread. Ooh, I'm like a machine gun. 2 hours later, my mind is somewhere else. In the morning I'm a tzaddik, in the evening I'm a rasha. So, and this is normal to us. One day I have good energy and I'm really operating well. The next week I'm a little bit low. Suddenly, so this is the schizophrenia I'm talking about. I'm not saying it in a derogatory, that I have 2 different personalities. I have the personality when I'm very into the Torah and the mitzvot, and I'm the most strict and I'm the most focused, and a week later I'm suddenly a total different person. Hey, you're coming to the minyan? One of them? So, and we all suffer from that. I'm not chas v'shalom pointing my finger at anyone. We all have that. That's a total natural thing. But that's because there's no good connection between the body and the soul. And I need to bring to the level of the connection that I'm nourishing the body. I'm cultivating the body. I'm nurturing the body, so the body will be connected to the soul in such a way that they're equal, so to say. Then I don't have this problem that one time I'm like this, one time I'm like that. I'm not controlled by the physical part of the world, specifically the eating that we're talking about. Now, amazingly, when you're thinking about it, our body is like a corpse. And every time that the neshama does something, then it enlivens the body. Because the body really is just a machine. Now you do a mitzvah, the neshama is doing a tchiyat hametim. Now the body comes to life again. Take the neshama out, there's no body. The body is going to get disintegrated and eaten by the worms, chick-chack. So I need to make a very good merge between the body and the soul. The soul enlivens the body, but without the body, the soul can't do anything. The soul's job is to elevate godly sparks from this world. And only the body can do it. The soul came down to do it, but it needs to move the body. So I need to bring to a place in my life that my body and soul are very living in harmony. That my body is to serve the soul. And my soul needs to elevate these godly sparks. Specifically now we're talking about eating, but I need the body for that. I can't say, chas v'shalom, segregate the body in any type of way. I can't look at the body as secondary. I need to look at to get to a point that my neshama is controlling my body. But I can't chas v'shalom neglect the body. I need to take to consideration that I need. So part of my avodat Hashem is the right nutrition, and to work out, and to brush my teeth, and whatever it is. To bathe the body needs to, just don't go overboard. When it becomes overboard, you don't need a 5-hour shower. 10 minutes is enough. Just wash the body, get the dirt off, and that's it. So the point I want to take from that, we covered a lot of things specifically here in the month of Shevat, is that it is a very auspicious time to stop and to think, where am I holding right now in my service to Hashem? And there's many things where we can concentrate on what can I do in my life. But even if we just take the topic of food and nutrition and apply it to my tikkun, to my rectification, I can grow to a much higher and different level. And that was the first thing that I started doing when I became observant. That it was all around the food. It was all around how am I controlling the body. And you know why specifically food? Because food is a big part of my life. So I would give a recommendation that you make a good analogy. You stop to see where you're holding, to see, okay, how am I refining my connection between my body and soul through food? That when I say the brachot, I say it with the right intention. I try to bench every day to say Birkat Hamazon. I don't eat in an obese or a disgusting way. I don't need to eat all day long cookies. Narrow it to once a day. So once a day, have your cup of coffee with your cookie or whatever it is. But the point is to bring the body to be under control, so it will serve the neshama to be able to do the tikkun. And the more you elevate the body for that purpose, you will spiritually grow to a much higher level. So it both goes together. So we have to choose first to serve Hashem with the Tzadik, that the Yud is going out. Everything L'Shem Shamayim, all for the sake of Shamayim. But then I have to also start pointing the Yud in, that my neshama and my body are partners, to make them completely become united, become one. This is a very high level that very soon all of us are going to experience, because when Mashiach is going to come, we're going to experience the unity between the body and the soul, neshama beguf. So the more we do it now, the more we're preparing for it now, the more we're able to prepare the world for the coming of Mashiach. Bezrat Hashem should have a beautiful, restful month, a month of prosperity and success and growth and health. Bezrat Hashem, after this month, if we do our job the right way, we're going into the month of Adar that is true happiness and simcha. Should all experience unbelievable joy and happiness in our life. Should have a chodesh tov and only experience revealed blessing.